As I read from Yahoo.com, good report here. The delicate relationship between Rocket star James Harden and Chris Paul has been termed unsalvageable. That took a wrong turn fast. And the star players want a divorce, league sources told Yahoo Sports. All right. Paul went to Rockets management and demanded a trade. And Harden issued, quote, a him or me edict following the Rockets' second-round loss to the Warriors.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's that.
Yeah, I mean, look, this has got to happen. They're not going to come back and just figure this thing out next season. It's interesting when we look at the money that Chris Paul is making, $38 million, then $42, and then $44, or something like that over the next 3 years. It's just there's simply not enough teams so that there's a viable market for him, right? So it's going to be one or two teams that might be interested in him. But if you're the Rockets, you're okay doing this, even though you feel like you could run it back and get it and maybe make it work, especially with the Warriors diminished right now. But you can't have an unhappy camp here because once that happens, and apparently it was going on for a long time during the regular season, even though we never really got an inkling of it. In fact, they said there was a stretch of 2 or so months where they didn't talk to each other.
Boy, those State Farm commercials certainly are misleading, I thought they were boys.
Yeah, you're right. So, I mean, but maybe that was a shot before the season when they were still in.
I know.
Yeah, you know,
somewhat facetious.
But still, you know what I mean.
But it seemed like they had a great, not even just a functional relationship. It seemed like they had a great rapport.
It did.
A great synergy.
It did, because I think they complemented each other well at times on court. And obviously that changed, at least perceptually and publicly during the postseason when we saw them arguing. The fact that it deteriorated this quickly, though, it tells you that this was simmering for a long time, BT.
No question. I have 2 things here. Number one, I think it's a blessing in disguise for the Rockets. Because to think that they were going to go into next season as currently constructed,
they had to change.
They had no chance to win this way. Zero. And if you want to bring back Mike D'Antoni, that's fine. I'm not so sure that I would do that, with all due respect to somebody that I really like. Mike's a really good person and a great offensive mind, but I don't think he's a coach that's going to win a championship. That's just my opinion, and it's always been that way. But if they went back to camp with this crew, they'd be fooling themselves. So I actually think this is good. It's a blessing in disguise. Now I actually have a team, because this is what we do here on Tiki and Tierney. We come up with solutions, and I think I have a solution for you, or for them.
Go ahead.
Now, to find a good trading partner, because obviously you're going to keep Harden. You're not going to keep Chris Paul. You're going to keep James Harden. He's going to win this power play, and he should. He's younger, and he's better.
Yeah.
So you got to.
It's his team.
It's his team. You got to find a team that, number one, could absorb the money of Chris Paul. That's first and foremost. But also has the need for an infusion of leadership. And I got to tell you, I think I got the perfect team.
Who?
The Phoenix Suns. Because there's a window where all these young guys, whether it's DeAndre Ayton, whether it's Josh Jackson, Mikal Bridges from Villanova, these guys are locked in. Their qualifying offers aren't until 3-4 years down the road.
Yeah, which aligns with his 3 years of big money.
Correct.
That a lot of other teams just can't swallow.
So they can manage it monetarily. They'd have to tweak a few things clearly. But, if you get Chris Paul, now maybe Chris Paul is inflexible at this age and he's the old grandfather or the old uncle who nobody really wants to be around. Yeah. Maybe that's what he's developing. I don't know. But if he's not that guy, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's not that guy yet, if he's around DeAndre Ayton for 2 years and TJ Warren and these young guys, I mean, how much would that behoove the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah, I think it would be good for the Phoenix Suns. I mean, look at their record last year. It felt, even though they're still very young, that they underachieved.
And even mentioned Booker, obviously.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they got one of the great young talents in the sport, and they won 19 games, BT. So I know they got a lot of work to do. DeAndre Ayton felt like, he was invisible for half the season. He wasn't, but it just felt like it was. You didn't hear his name on a regular basis.
Had a good season, though.
He did.
Had a very good statistical season.
It didn't feel like he was the impact player that we thought he should be. Again, I'll go back to the same conversation we had at the top of this hour. He's 19 years old.
Yep.
Right? He's still figuring out how to be a big man in today's NBA. Even when we had him on at the draft, he talked about how he had to learn how to shoot. He wanted to learn how to shoot and shoot from range and be a little bit more of a stretch. But you bring a vet like Chris Paul, even if he's ornery and cantankerous with them, that's probably a good thing for them. Right?
For a team that has no competitive teeth, so to speak.
Yeah, they need some hard love.
Yep.
And Chris Paul, it's probably not what he wants to hear because his career is likely going to end without him getting a shot at a championship. But he could be very valuable to this Phoenix Suns squad.
The only
could happen.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. The only other option, and based on what they just did, I don't know who the heck they could give up to get him. I mean, monetarily, it's got to match up somewhat. You've got to have assets to ship back to Houston. I mean, it's LeBron's buddy. I mean, so you always, but on the periphery, you would think that the Lakers, can you recruit a third team? You could always do that.
Yeah.
You could always get a third team to bypass the lack of assets the Lakers currently have. Maybe there's a deal to be struck there. I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't see
But he's got to go.
that.